Hey there, you all. Nikki B here.
And just Joseph.
Futureland365 right here on WOVU 95.9.
Hey, y'all, we just finished up with Gloria Ware, a.k.a. Mama Glow, Miss Get the Bag Lady. And if you want to figure out how to get the bag, then tune into this episode.
Tune in. Yeah. Awesome and amazing day, you all. Nikki B here.
Just Joseph. Welcome back.
Welcome back to Futureland 365, where we highlight Cleveland's bold innovators, creators, and entrepreneurs. Just Joseph.
Yeah. I'm excited about this episode.
I'm so
but
excited.
before we get into it, we need y'all to hit that subscribe button. Follow us on all our social media channels, Futureland CLE, and also the website, www.futurelandcle.com. Subscribe to that newsletter. You don't want to miss all the amazing information we got coming.
Because we have a lot of events coming up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we do.
A fun, jam-packed rest of the year. So you guys don't want to miss that. Thanks, Joseph, for that, because sometimes I forget.
Yeah, they got it.
I'm so involved, but we need you guys to be involved as
For
well,
real.
right? All right, you guys. Well, we have an amazing guest in the building
Yes,
today.
we do.
Right? So today we are talking capital, confidence, and community, right? So unlocking entrepreneur growth with Miss Gloria Ware.
Welcome, Miss Gloria.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I feel excited and honored.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. We're really excited, not only for you sharing, what you do and how you do it, but your experience, right?
Yeah.
And as Joseph pinged earlier today, your passion point, is that right?
Yeah, passion point.
He touched on her passion point. So we're excited to hear more.
You struck a nerve.
Yes, you struck a nerve, right?
Got a knack for that, I guess.
Yes. So we're excited to hear more from you and how you can help connect the dots to our entrepreneurs, especially our entrepreneurs that are women and of the BIPOC community. So Miss Gloria Ware, I know you were like, girl, that is a big question. Do not ask me who I am, because I can start at 5, right? So let our audience know exactly who Miss Gloria is as an advisor, right?
Yeah. I would say I am a mom.
Okay.
But I have been referred to as Mama Glow as well by
Mama Glow.
I like that.
I think I'm
That's
going to refer to you as
by
that.
peers, even people older than me. And so I bring a very empathetic and compassionate and a lot of passion to the work. Right, because entrepreneurship is something I truly believe in as a tool for economic empowerment, but under the right conditions. So like lots of conditions to that term. And so I'm very passionate about ensuring that people have the opportunity to fulfill, their dream of entrepreneurship, but they also understand what it takes. And then they have the support system along the way to help them throughout the journey.
Nice.
Yeah. And I also bring, 30 years of experience. So worked in banking for 20 plus years as a small business banker, also a nonprofit and a government banker. So I've seen a lot of different types of deals made and various entrepreneurial and small business situations, good and bad. And then I worked in venture capital for 11 years. And then I've been in business for myself full time for 3 years, then collectively for 5 years.
We love that, and thank you for sharing that. That summary, right? Because
Yes.
there's so much more and so much to unpack there. But like you were talking about, you started in banking. So from banking to business builder,
Yeah.
What does that mean to you when I say that? From banking to business builder.
Well, it means helping people to get more money in their bank account through business ownership, right? And leveraging all of that experience, all of those relationships and insights that I've developed along the way in service of that.
Okay. Yeah, I love to hear that. So you started out in commercial banking?
I started out in the management training program.
Okay.
So that is where you get exposure to all areas of the bank, and you get they don't do this as much now, but exposed to credit training, so you understand how to analyze and review financial statements and make credit decisions. But initially I was in the retail bank, so I was a branch manager.
Okay.
So I was a branch manager for many years, and then manager of branch managers. And then I went into banking product development, so kind of on the innovation side. So developing new products, services, pricing, and then maintaining existing products. And those were all of the bank's business products.
Okay.
But I missed, I was tired of being in meetings all day, and I really missed that, day-to-day contact with people. And someone that I had worked with in the bank for a long time had become a manager of the small business banking division, and then pulled me back into banking, but on the small business side.
Wow.
So I was a small business banker for several years, and then a commercial lender. But at that point in time, all of my clients were much larger. There were your YMCAs of the world, colleges and universities, cities, school districts, transit authorities. So I had that exposed me to much bigger deals, but also more creative ways to get transactions funded.
Wow, I love that, because you have 30 years of experience, right? But you have experience from both sides of the funding table. So
Yes.
tell us a little bit about the lessons that you have learned from both sides and how that makes you even more experienced.
Yeah, I would say, you might hear this, and people hear it, but I don't think they truly appreciate it, but like, relationships are everything. Relationships move the money.
Wow. Say that
Right?
again. Relationships move the money.
Right? Because what I've learned is that people that have money don't trust. They have and when I say trust, it might be, can this person either, number one, pay me back if you're on the banking side, or turn my $10,000 into $1 million in 10 years, right? So they come in distrustful, right? And so your relationships build trust, right? And relationships are built at the speed of trust. So the more you take the time to, number one, understand that person that you're dealing with, building relationships with funders, whether you're a nonprofit and you need grant funding, or whether you're looking for loans, or whether you're looking for investment, or even you're running a crowdfunding campaign. The more they get to know you, the more they feel like, this is somebody I think I could do business with, and I'm getting to know them. I see how they operate. I see their character. I learn more about kind of what's behind their story and what's behind the business or their nonprofit. And I think I want to take a chance on this person. But also, it's twofold, because you're also getting to know them, because not all money is good money. So you get to determine, does this person follow up on what they do? Are they trustworthy? Is my business out in the streets? Is this the type of money that I want? Because, some money, it may not be a good fit for you depending on where you're trying to go. And, are these the people I want on my team? But you're also learning, because you're building their exchange of information. So then at some point in time, you're going to be ready, because and they'll be ready for you, because you're spending this exchange of information, but even more important, human connection.
So what I'm hearing is that you may not want to, put your business there at first. However, you still want to establish that relationship and find out, gathering the data and the information, like you just said, maybe not right now, right? But maybe 6 months from now, or maybe a year from now, this may be a beneficial, not only relational, but a business transaction, right? I've learned in this journey here that I did this test, and I've learned that I am more relational than I am transactional, right? So it's important to me to build relationships.
Yes.
So when you said that, me and Just Joseph both were like, "Oh, wow, relationships move the money."
They do, because I'm going to tell you, there's been some situations where, and depending, you can build relationships in different ways. Like I said, it takes 7 touches to close a sale. Like that's kind of like a sales basic. But touches are different. There are different types of touches. And some of them is you being involved in the community and people reading about you, right? and they're seeing like you. This is why kind of the power of LinkedIn or social media, using it to highlight your work in the community or highlight your stories or highlight some of your, your challenges. Because there's like, we have relationships, like I have a relationship with Rihanna. Like she doesn't know me, but like we have a relationship, right?
Right.
So there's different ways to build a relationship. So through your communications, how you communicate. But there's been some times when I've been in the room and like had to fight, like for a deal to happen, for a deal to happen, for this person to get this contract. And a lot of times it's been like, oh God, like I'm kind of mentally tired, right? But then it's like, oh, wait a minute, this is not going the way that it seems like it's supposed to. So I'm going to have to like, okay, here we go. Might have to ruffle some feathers. I'm going to have to like fight this one out.
So when you say you've had to fight for this deal, right, for someone, what do you mean by that? And what did you have to do to fight? And do you mind sharing what type of deal or business it was that you were fighting for?
I mean, it's been loans getting approved, right? Because I have a relationship with this person, but there are other people involved in the decision making, whether it's getting a loan, whether it's securing an investment, whether it's securing a contract, right? Other people are involved, so you need your contact to fight like for you because people are going to push back. No, or sometimes it's competitive. Oh, well, I really like this person because, whatever, and everyone's really liking that side. And so you've got to determine, do I want to be the person that is the different, I want to ruffle feathers here. Do I want to like
is it worth it?
Exactly. Like you're constantly making these decisions, and even on as it relates to funding, if this goes bad, right? Do I want my name on this? Right? So this is where you make those decisions. It's like, is this person worth it? Do I care enough about this cause, what they're doing? They don't have all of the information that I have, or they haven't read the proposal like in the way that I have. So you're going in there, you're making your case. And I don't think a lot of people understand that's how that happens. It's interesting because I remember even with investment, that's happened. I've had to like push a deal over to get it done.
Yeah. Well, you talk a lot about relationships and how key that is. And you said relationships are built at the speed of trust.
Yes.
So when you're talking about building trust, how big of a process is due diligence when it comes to, relationships and evaluating whether this is somebody I can trust? Is this somebody I want to put my name on the line for? Because that's a big part in business.
So another thing people don't realize is that there's what you've given them in terms of the formal application or pitch deck or whatever, but then people are going to go do their own homework. Oh yeah, do you know? So what do you know about this person? Oh, they're good. So people have done their community check-ins, right? To like, what do you know? What have you heard? Do you think this is good? So that's kind of one component of the due diligence process. The other one is, do you have your facts together? And you're not going to have every fact together, but does your story make sense in terms of something that I want to invest in, either in terms of giving you a loan and feeling reassured that you're going to pay me back, or invest in this business and you're going to take it to, $300 million one day, and you're the person that can do that. So that's where having your financial piece in order. But another big one is what you say versus what you do. So people, particularly me, I'm like really good at like paying attention to what people say and then how they show up, and then like listening for any kind of inconsistencies. And people don't realize that that's happening. So kind of like character. And so sometimes character may not be asking around, but it's, are you consistent in the information that you're sharing? Like your core basic information. Some things might change based upon like updates and info. Are you consistent there? What are your ethics, right? In terms of what do you brag about? I mean, if someone's bragging about how they got over
Right.
on various things. It might be, oh, wow, you got over, like you did really well by getting over, but then you're thinking, is this someone who's going to be bragging about getting over on me one day?
Right.
So just, I think people don't realize that, but people, and they may not say anything, but they're listening and recording.
Wow. So there's a lot of discernment that goes in
Absolutely.
to this level of
Yeah.
work. So,
I will say, so discernment, again, this is where the relationships comes into
Yeah.
play. So sometimes people, and this particularly has to do with like people, women and people of color in terms of getting funded. Sometimes there is no discernment. The discernment, like that's my guy. That's my girl.
yeah. Relationships,
That's
moving
it,
money.
right? And maybe that person didn't have to do all of those things
Right.
because they felt like they had another set of information, right, based upon like a relationship
History.
that was going to tell them that this person is going to be successful,
Right.
despite what the pitch deck says or the financial statements say or what other people say. So because there are people that have received funding and there's been questionable as to like, wow, how did they get funded?
Right.
But there's a lot, this is where the relationship piece
I
comes
see.
into play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm finding that is so important. Relationship building is so important. Business building is determined on relationships.
Everything,
right?
right?
Everything is built
It's like,
on that.
it's
so.
people, like people. People are
Yeah.
moved by other people. It's just like when you see someone's face on social media, people stop, a
Yeah.
face,
Right.
right? As opposed to like a post with just text,
So true.
right? So it's
Yeah.
just that human connection and that human element.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I know, because Joseph has questions. I have more questions, right?
this is good because I'm learning
is
so
so
much
good.
from
So-
Mama Glow over here.
Right, Mama Glow. We love that so much. So endearing. And this is why she builds relationships and
Yeah.
businesses the way that she does. So you all, well, we have to take a little break here and we'll be right back. Don't turn the dial.
Yeah,
Come right back. Tap
'cause
in.
we got more to talk about.
We have much more with Mama Glow.
WOVU 95.9 FM, Our Voices United, a community radio station. Our mission is to provide an inclusive and participatory media platform that connects, engages, and informs every citizen and stakeholder of our community with the goal of achieving ongoing social and economic progress for all.
All right, you guys, and we're back. So welcome back to Futureland
Welcome back.
365. It's your girl, Nikki B here.
And it's just Joseph, and we in the house.
We are in the house and we are in relationship, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we were talking about before we went to break is building relationships and how important that is to build your business, right? And also off the mic, we were talking about shopping around. So it's okay to shop around, right? Because you don't want to become stagnant and you have this one loan or this one application here with this one bank per se. So that's so important. So now we were in relationship. Now we're trying to get to the bag, right?
Let's get to the
Yes.
bag.
So Mama Glow, let's talk about this. So let's talk about let's demystify some of the demystifying capital and supporting founders. So what are some common myths and barriers around funding for diverse founders?
Is that, there's all this money out here for minority-owned businesses.
I hear that a
It's
lot.
so annoying to me because that is not true,
Mm-hmm.
right? So a lot of it is, there's a lot of marketing about money out here for quote-unquote minority-owned businesses, but no, there's not necessarily a lot of money, right? So I would say that is a big one, and I think maybe that perception may have been influenced by the pandemic and George Floyd, money, which was just rare situation where there were so many grants for businesses, so many grants for, nonprofits, and then so many grants probably, for people of color, like particularly Black people. That was a small window, as we see, which is shut tight. So maybe it's just these companies have done a really good job of marketing all these monetary opportunities and promises, many of which have not been kept. So that's one. I would say the other one is that it's always about financial literacy.
Yeah.
which that term annoys me, but anyway, but understanding your financials and the finances of your business, like that's a critical skill set because a business is about making money. So you've got to understand how that works, how the money comes in and out. But sometimes the challenges are more than about whether someone had the right systems in place. Again, these are all definitely challenges, but there are other issues such as access, right? Access to the right social capital or these relationships, right? Where people can open doors, people will give you a chance. To whether it's investing in you or introducing you to the right banker or introducing you to the right program manager at a foundation. So sometimes it's just not having that access. And then other times it's just a matter of bias, just systemic bias. So some of the criteria, some people were saying like, well, if people would just save more money. But if you are making $7.85 an hour and you're working 3 jobs and you have children and you're living in housing that's expensive, there's no money left to save.
Yeah.
Right? So some of these are issues that are systemic that need to be addressed at a different level.
Okay.
So let's just do a better job of understanding our client, the client being the business owner, entrepreneur, before we make these kind of grandiose statements. True, yes. We definitely need to do a better job of understanding our business financials and being able to tell our story in numbers. Absolutely true. That's everyone. But sometimes there's bigger issues at hand.
Yeah, telling your story in numbers.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
that's major, and that's what you're talking about there with having your slide deck or your pitch deck, right? Knowing how you're going to impact the community, the nation, the world, and how you're going to get there and how you're doing that, and what's your profit, what's your loss, all those things, right? And I think that's so important. But going back to what you were talking about with the grants, right? And you were also talking about loans. So this question came to mind, like, I don't want to assume that everyone that is listening or watching us here will understand the difference between the two. Can you share a little insight about the difference between a grant and a loan?
Yes.
And how that works?
Okay. So a grant is basically free money, technically. I mean, you typically have to provide some exchange. It's a non-financial exchange, maybe your photo, be willing to put your picture on the website and tell your story on the website of the organization that's issuing the grant. It's usually issued by foundations, and these are organizations that have a mission orientation, and they are finding that what you're doing is aligned with their mission. And sometimes corporations also will issue grants, and because maybe your business is the same industry, say PepsiCo, we want to support beverage-based businesses, so they basically give you the money. Sometimes there's a reporting requirement. A loan is someone is giving you money with the understanding that they're going to be getting all of the money paid back plus interest over a certain period of time. So thinking about when you buy a house, you typically will get a mortgage loan from the bank.
Okay.
It's typically 15 years or 30 years, but you're also paying interest along the way. So like, say, for example, if you're borrowing $100,000, you might wind up paying $200,000 over 30 years.
No, that makes sense. And I definitely wanted to educate not only myself because the question came up, but I learned from a wise person that always said, if you have a question, that means that other people may have that same question. So thank you for sharing that. And so now we're really going to get to it, right? We got the relationships, we got the basics. We understand we hear the myths, right? Myths and things like that when it comes to capital and supporting founders. So now, Mama Glow, because me and Just Joseph are trying to figure this out right now. How do how GTB Advisors help entrepreneurs prepare for and pursue funding, right?
Yes.
So we're really getting to it now. So how do you all do this?
Well, GTB Advisors likes to take a system approach to solving issues. So we primarily work with business support organizations that are touching hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs and foundations that are funding the business support organizations.
Give us an example of that organization.
Yeah, I would say
just one or two.
a good example, and these are not my clients, but just something that locally that people would know would be Hispanic Business Center, the Urban League, Small Business Development Center.
There we go.
So
Okay.
those are any type of Goldman Sachs, 10,000 small businesses.
Okay.
So organizations where, hey, entrepreneurs go to get help. They go to get education about becoming an entrepreneur. Those tend to be nonprofit business support organizations, and so and some might be for profit as well. Government. So the city of Cleveland has I think a small business development support entity. So lots of businesses are coming through. So if I can help them to know where to find alternative sources of capital for the business owners, if I can help them to help business owners to be more funding ready, if I can help them to develop culturally competent curriculum and programming, then that is touching lots of business owners. However, I just, last year, I graduated from a business support organization program, Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small
Woo-hoo!
Businesses.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Which I've been involved with Goldman. It played a role in when it came to Cleveland, helping to recruit entrepreneurs to be part of it. So I've been involved with it since 2012.
Wow,
And
so much community work. This is why you have the name Mama Glow. I'm seeing that now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so one of the things you do, so it's like a 14-week program, is you are working on yourself as a business owner, because the business owner is the business. Right? And I don't think
Say
people
that
always,
again,
the business
slowly.
owner, you the business owner are the business. And I
Yes.
think what does that mean, right?
Yeah, break that down.
You're the business, just
You are I'll
are
give
the
you
business
an example. So your strengths, right? Your personal strengths, things that people say like, oh, Gloria, you're great at, connecting and all these things. And your weaknesses, right? I'm not a detailed person, right? I'm big picture, strategic thinker, details. Oh gosh, all of those things. Or I'm also more of an introvert, right? All of those things, I see them, right? And this is why observing yourself as you're kind of stepping outside of the picture and observing yourself and how you're showing up in your business.
Oh my gosh.
You see how those personal aspects of you flow into the business, right? And so one of the things they do at Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses is they work to build you as a leader, and they help you to understand and call out those strengths and weaknesses, help you to understand and call out the risks of your business, and then work on mitigating those. There's a super duper deep dive on financials, because that's kind of a lot of most entrepreneurs' weakest area. Help you understand on how to build a culture, how to hire around your culture. But one of the things that you do, the biggest thing you're doing, you're working on a growth plan for your business. So they make you identify something they're not doing, either a market you're not serving, or maybe a geography you're not serving, or a new service line that you could be kind of focusing on. They make you work on a growth plan, identify that, research it, validate it, and then work on building it, and then eventually kind of pitch for it. So one of the things that I did through that, most of my clients on the GTB Advisor side, that get the back side, those are primarily business owners, but on the GTB Advisor side, they are business support organizations. So I was like, I think I will create an opportunity to work with established businesses that have a growth opportunity, and they understand the value of expertise and are willing to pay for that. But they need help with building a funding strategy, because they don't. I would need to build this building. I need to purchase some more equipment, but I have no idea where to start. Right. And I'm busy. I don't have time. How can you kind of assess my needs, put me on the right path, get me matched to funders, and then possibly make some connections to those funders if they're in your network. So that's a new service that I am I launched, really kind of soft launched last year, but I'm really pushing into this year. So it is helping you to identify a funding strategy, because most businesses just take like a shotgun approach to like they just start looking everywhere and wasting a lot of time.
She's not talking about me at all.
Time and energy and being really frustrated. It was like, why are you trying to get venture capital money for this business that you have no plans on growing outside of Cleveland? Like that's not, it doesn't match.
Gotcha.
Right? Or what if it is venture capital, why are you going to that VC firm? Because they only do medical devices and you have a fintech company. Like, right, you made yourself look bad because they're like, why are you here? Our website says medical devices.
You didn't do research, yeah.
Right, so
Okay.
it's basically that, but then also, because I love looking for money and I love research, right? So I have a huge database of various funding sources, so I can typically, like, depending on, like, okay, here's our strategy. Here, what are you trying to do? Okay, based upon what you're trying to do, based upon the situation, here's the strategy. Now let's look at funders that align, that match the strategy. And then, so then that's like a serious hack because looking for money is very time consuming. Often most people don't know what to look for or how. And then like, oh, by the way, I know 3 of these people, I'll make an introduction. Which an introduction, because it's coming from like, an introduction is like the relationship hack. It's the cheat code, right? So it's like, oh, Gloria introduced you. Okay, because they know if I'm introducing,
Then we see value there.
right,
Some
I'm not just
things
introducing
here.
anyone unless I
Yeah.
say, I basically, in so many words, I don't really know this person well, but they reached out to me on LinkedIn and asked me to introduce you, so I'm just it's not someone I know that well, but I did talk to them and this is kind of what they want. Would you be willing to talk to them? Otherwise, it's just like, no, you can just tell them I introduced you. Because that's the cheat code.
I like that. That's when your name hold weight and you've been handling business for a while and you
30
know how to
years.
get the bag.
I feel
Get
like
the
I have
bag.
a pretty good track when it's like, oh, Gloria, okay.
Yeah.
Because people know I don't
GTB.
play.
Mama Glug.
So
GTB.
how could somebody
Growing, thriving businesses. That's what GTB in that case means.
Oh, I like that.
Yes.
Growing, thriving businesses.
Yes.
So how could someone, if they want to connect with you, how can people do that?
They can find me on LinkedIn because LinkedIn is my jam. Constantly
that.
sharing on LinkedIn. People are always like, "Oh my gosh!" Like I always see you on LinkedIn, like like posting things. Like where do you find the time?
Look for
And
her LinkedIn.
but if you're a business owner, you're not just on LinkedIn. But if you're not using it, like hello, like why? You're missing out. But it's so Gloria M. Ware 216, and I have a page GTB Advisors, but my website is GTB Advisors with an O LLC.com.
Awesome. So you've been dropping some gems. You've been
Major.
educating our audience. This has been exciting for us because we're learning as well. But you got some amazing things on the horizon as well. Some
Yes,
upcoming
I
things. So
do.
you gonna tell us? You gonna lead the people in
No,
anticipation?
Absolutely.
Let them know.
Absolutely. So so I've been partnering with PNC Fairfax Connection, which is a community center. It's located at 8220 Carnegie. It's been around for a long time, a beautiful building, and they primarily work with young families with children. They work with teens. They have STEAM programming, so, kind of STEM plus the arts, and then they work with small businesses. And so I started working with them last year, and they really wanted to step up how they were serving small businesses. They've got some great some other people that work with small businesses there. I don't know if you know Danielle Sitnor. She works with a cohort of business owners. But they wanted to, they knew there were a lot of business support organizations in the area, so they didn't want to kind of duplicate what was already happening. Wanted to know, like, what were the gaps, like what was not being covered, right? And I was like, oh,
Yeah,
okay,
we're
like
the pain points, not the passion points, but the pain
exactly,
points,
like,
right?
okay, I get to do
Yeah.
that. So that's what we try to do, is basically to kind of tap into my experience, working in this space for so long and working with business owners, and then my passion, and I love for business owners to identify like what is not being talked about enough, and then how can we bring kind of engaging, unique programming to address those things. So last year I did some work on just kind of marketing 101, just building your marketing foundations, because too often people confuse branding with marketing. And it's like, branding is a part of marketing, but marketing is much bigger. Or like, oh, social media. Well, some marketing is just being at trade shows. Some marketing might be like, who's the guy who has the billboard? We
Min's
make them
Oh, yes. We make the pay.
right? Like that's that's
Yeah,
marketing,
That's
Yeah.
marketing.
right? Yeah. And then we
And I think, didn't he sold right?
No.
For
Yeah,
it's not
image or
actually,
something.
his image.
Yeah.
oh my gosh,
So
really?
it's not actually him. It's those organizations and companies that are able to use it because he was
Get
smart. Like,
out.
oh,
That's
wait a
so
minute.
smart.
So
He leveraged his
yeah,
platform.
shout out to Power Brand because I learned that from her.
Wow.
Miss Sharita Carthon.
I have to do some more research
so
on that.
branding and marketing is so huge. So
Yeah, it
I'm glad
is, and it's
that
like,
you
yeah,
talked
and
that-
depending
yeah.
on who your customer is, you need to tailor your marketing for that customer,
Mm-hmm.
right? If your customer is my 102-year-old grandma, you're gonna have to put it in the obituary section where she looks at every
Looks to see.
every
Right.
It's true, you know?
right. That's where you
Yeah.
can see. You're gonna
Know
see
your
her.
audience.
All right, or like
Right.
Steve. What's the show with Steve Harvey? Family Feud. Like
Oh,
get a
yeah.
commercial there.
Right.
Right.
But we did one on relationships, like selling, because sometimes it's like, okay, you've marketed, now you've got to go in there and close the sale. And
Yeah.
a lot of business owners have the benefit of working in banking where they invested in a lot of sales training, and it was very goals oriented. Like they did not play when it comes to like meeting your sales goals. So you had to get out there. So this was more on like, okay, building a relationship. And this is really important for those business to business. Maybe you're dealing with other businesses, right? And so they're not going to be on social media looking for you. You're going to have to pick up the phone or send an email or go to networking events and then have a series of follow-ups, some no's along the way. You just have to keep moving. So we did that. We did a state of black-owned business. We did a Meet Your Marketer matchmaking event last November. And then so we're kicking off this season with Pivot, with Prove It and Profit. And the focus of that is too often people go into starting a business out of passion, but not necessarily understanding the business part of it. Like, well, you are passionate about this, but we want you to be successful. We want you to make money. Is this type of a business one that typically makes money?
Yeah.
Right? Let's know that before. And if you decide that, yes, I still want to do it, like we need to be thinking about it from a perspective of like, how can we make it make money? And then also, who is your customer? Because market demand is not having enough market demand is one of the biggest reasons that businesses fail. Because people are so focused on branding and logos and websites and all of this other stuff, but like your customer.
Who are you talking to?
Your customer,
Yeah.
right? Who is that person? It's not everyone too often. So who's your customer? Everybody. No, everybody. My grandma, again, my
I started out
102-year-old
that
grandma
way.
is not your customer.
Yeah, I started out that way.
Yeah, but that's what we all do, right? So the goal is to bring the tools and resources that your average person, business owner, can use and tap into to better understand their customer, their competitors, the actual demand. What are some of the trends? What are things people are looking for, right? And then also understand, like, what's the numbers of this business? Like, is this a growing industry? Is it on the decline? Does it make a lot of money, right? And what are the technology trends with it? Because these are all things from whether you're a funder, if you're a banker or you're an investor, we're all looking at the business through that lens.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is a restaurant. They don't make a lot of money. High failure rate, right? But then it's like the relationship piece of that can come in and say, oh, like, no, I've had 5 restaurants. They've all been very successful. Or like, I'm working with a partner who has 5. We've been friends for 15 years. We've worked on 3 other businesses together. It's like, okay.
Got it.
But the goal is just for people to be more informed, because when this is what I was saying, entrepreneurship not done right leads to to you being less well off financially.
Yeah.
Right? Because you are putting a lot more money into it initially
Right.
than you're getting out of it. So you need to be successful, and you need to try to pick one where you're going to more likely to have lots of customers, so lots of sales and top line revenue, and then after all of your expenses, you still have a nice cushion of money left.
Okay. No, that makes sense. And all of those components that you're talking about, does build a successful business, right? So you're proving it to profit.
And you really are doing this for yourself, right?
This for yourself.
It's like a business plan. Okay, yes, the banker needs the business plan, but you're the one that needs the business plan.
Right.
Because it's like, do you want to quit your job, or like, okay, maybe you're not quitting your job, you're taking all of your extra time on, time off and putting it in this business. Other things are being ignored because you're building a business. Is this worth it? Is this what you're trying to do, right? So a lot of this is like, and if not, maybe it's not this one, but it's something else. I have a good example with my cousin. She went into, it was a market validation workshop organization I was working for, and it was open to everybody, tech entrepreneurs, non-tech entrepreneurs, and she wanted to, shout out to Charisma Mercer of Parents in Motion. She wanted to initially start a concierge business, right? And so then they went through like the market validation workshop, and then I think that she was like, oh, I don't know if this is going to be kind of what I thought it was from a monetary perspective, but like, I was hearing some of those technology entrepreneurs talking about what they were doing. I think I have another problem, right? A bigger problem to solve, and that is parents in need of getting their children safely from point A to point B. That happened at a market validation. So I don't want to kill anyone's dreams of being a business owner, but it's hard, right? But and I want us to win. And that's why we call it build a business that wins.
That's really
winning
good.
with information.
Awesome. So kind of want to shift and pivot a little bit here. All right. So, I want to talk about vision, values, and impact.
Okay.
All right. You had brought up some amazing values off camera. I do
Yes.
want you to share your values and how important values are to entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Then I got a follow-up question.
Okay, values are important because they ground you, right? They ground you maybe much in the way that if you have a religion that you pursue, right? Whatever kind of the tenets are of those religion, they help you to benchmark like your decisions. Like, okay, here are my values, and is this moving in this direction, is working with this person, is doing business in this way, does it align with my stated values?
Yeah.
And as I'm building my business and scaling and bringing on people, do these people also align? Do I think they would be a good fit, align with my values? And maybe they don't necessarily always, you're kind of hiring for that, but then also when they come on board, these are our values, this is how we show up, right? And you can always use the values as like this grounding point to like, let's pull that back in.
Yeah.
So, having values period as an individual is important, but having values as a business is important. And your values can shift, as well. So
what are some of your values that you have, if you don't mind sharing? You have to
no,
share them
of course,
all.
yeah, that's the goal, is to share the values. So some of my values are like creativity. So I'm also like an artist. So I just like kind of taking the path less traveled. And I think that's what artists do.
Yeah.
They think differently. They're looking other places. And so because this is such challenging work, sometimes people can kind of fall into like a pattern. Okay, we're going to do step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, without really evaluating, is this working? Why isn't it working? What are some other solutions? So, and then also too, we're moving into a very fast-paced world from a technology perspective. So there's lots of opportunities for us to leverage that technology. And so I think creativity always causes you to challenge the process, to think differently, to think outside of the box. To be innovative. Having fun. Probably anybody that works with me know, like, oh gosh, Gloria must be here. I can hear her laugh like from across the room. And so, finance is not a fun topic. And my challenge.
It can be tough to even bring up
not.
sometimes.
No, it is in my household.
It can be fun. It can be.
It'd be silent in my house when I talk finances.
But I think it's just because we're going about it the wrong way. And I haven't figured out how to unlock the fun in finance. I have a friend of mine, in Richie. We're always talking about, like, how can we make this fun? Because there are certain parts of it, like, once you grasp it, you're like, oh, this is kind of this is kind of fun. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of fun. It's a big, huge topic.
Yeah.
And so like, how can we break that down and make it more meaningful and impactful and exciting and compelling to business owners? Because the money is the business, people. That is the business. And too often people don't know anything about the money. I've asked people, so what are your goals for, like, how much money are you trying to make this year? I don't know. I have no answer.
Just to survive. You know what I mean? It's like, wait.
But the money is the business.
Right.
Here are the numbers.
Gotta
right?
talk about it.
And so I think a lot of times we kind of think of business as it's like more of, hey, I've got an idea that I want to express. I have something I want to bring to the world. I have a solution to a problem that our community is having, and I definitely respect that. But also, in order for you to be successful in, implementing that solution and scaling it, the money piece is really important. So and I'm sure there's a lot of like financial trauma, like there's reasons for that.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, we all have
our
that's
why
money
it's
trauma.
not fun, right? Because it's associated to when you were at the grocery store and you were 6 years old or 7 years old and your mom said you can't get the cereal that you wanted to get, the Count Chocula or the Captain Trunk. Yeah, you have to get the one at the bottom with no sugar and all those things. So
in my day, it was like black and white box. That was like the generic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah, I think that is true, and it has weight, and that's why finances are not fun, right?
Yeah. But it doesn't have to be. Like, we need to challenge. I took this leadership course when I worked at Fifth Third Bank. It was called Leadership Challenge, and one of the things they talked about was like, your job as a leader is to challenge the process. Like, because that's how innovation happens, right? It's like someone was like, why? That doesn't make sense. Well, why are we doing things this way? Right? So I think it's you need to do that even for your own business. You've got to disrupt your own business, right? And challenge this. Why is this working? Like, why am I doing it this way when there's AI out here that I could be using? Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Or why am I working so hard? I need to hire somebody. So just kind of this is
my
why
systems. I need to put better systems in place.
Yeah, but a lot of times, and I get it, and that's one of the reasons I said, you know what, I'm going to do the Goldman Sachs thing, because if left up to my own devices, I'm not going to do. I know I need to have values. I know I need to have mission statement. I know I need to have systems. But you're so busy, like doing the work, like grinding it out, doing the work, and then doing self-care, because I believe in self-care. That you don't, so sometimes you've got to have that force, either being around a network of people that will challenge you and you're okay with them challenging you if it's coming out of the right place, or putting yourself in a situation like a mastermind group, or other business owners who are also trying to get to the next level. And so that's why one of the biggest reasons I joined Goldman, because it was going to force me to take the time, as they always say, work on my business and work instead of working in. But as a business owner, you always need to create a process for stepping out and forcing yourself to, putting it on your calendar to take a step back and be like, is this where I'm trying to go? Is this where I'm trying to be? Like, can I do this a different way? Do I still need to be working with this person? Is this partnership working? Is this client working for me?
Yeah. Well, that's a perfect segue into what I wanted to talk about next, and that was ecosystem, and so Futureland is huge on ecosystem, and having the right people at the table, having those conversations. And that's why you're on today, because when you're around forward thinkers, brilliant people with experience, it makes you go to higher levels. It's just proximity. We always talk about that on this show. And so what is your take on ecosystems, building those ecosystems for entrepreneurs?
So at the ecosystem, and often people that are not in the ecosystem building space, they're like, what is that?
What is
Right,
that?
yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, let's talk about that's a good starting point.
Yeah.
Let's build
So
that
an
out.
ecosystem, could be an ecosystem in your neighborhood, right? You've got your educational ecosystem. There's the elementary school, there's the pre-K, there's the high school, there's the tutoring programs, there's the aftercare programs, there's the sports programs. So it's basically all of the systems that support a certain line of work or a certain kind of topic or focus area. And in this case, we're referring to entrepreneurial ecosystems. So these are the business support organizations, the the funders, the money, the capital, the service providers, so accountants, bookkeepers, business attorneys, the talent pool, 1099s, other contractors, these availability of contracts. So the government, huge player in the ecosystem because they've got regulations and rules and things like that. So that is like what the entrepreneurial ecosystem consists of.
Thanks for breaking that down.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
But, actually, so it's interesting that you say that. So I was doing some research for a client, and I came across this report, and it was about the small business support ecosystem in the city of Cleveland.
Wow.
And
my
I was
gosh.
like,
Look, where's
wait
my
a minute,
popcorn
like-
and my
Yeah.
tea?
and it was just it was like July 2024. It was the Urban Institute. So I'm
Okay.
letting y'all, I'm like, not everybody knows about this report. Because I was calling people like,
Have you seen
Right.
this? Do you know about
right,
this?
exactly.
Right.
And that's exactly what it did, is it assessed Cleveland's small business support ecosystem.
What were the findings? Would you tell more?
Well, tell us more. You just can't
Anyway.
stop there. The suspicion is real right now.
Anyways.
But I think before you jump in there,
it's
I
commercial break.
think that we should take a pause.
Yes.
Let's take a quick pause.
I need to, let some of this information go for a minute so that I can release space for this this report and this research that Mama Glow has done for us. So
we'll
you
be
guys,
right back.
Yeah.
right back.
Don't change the station.
Stay tuned.
All right.
We're here for your breakthrough every step of the way. From setup to final mix, we're here to make your dreams a reality. Your music, your podcast, your events, all at Breakthrough Sounds.
What's up, everybody? And we are back here on the Futureland365 podcast and radio show. And we are here sitting with the lovely Gloria. She has been dropping so many gems.
So much.
And right before we left for the commercial break, you were sharing something with us.
Yeah, so just kind of sharing a report that was done by the Urban Institute, which does a lot of research, and they do these entrepreneur ecosystem reports across the country. And there was a report on the ecosystem supporting small business owners in the city of Cleveland. And some of the highlights of the report was basically lack of coordination amongst the ecosystem players. So. And there have been some attempts to solve that in the past. But,
Yeah.
and so business owners wind up kind of going to touching all of them and not necessarily knowing like what is a good fit for them. Lack of funding, and that while there were programs for minority, quote unquote, entrepreneurs, a lot of people don't apply for them because they are kind of overwhelming in terms of the type of information that they want. And when they do, the approval rates are very low. That was one. The other one is that there are alternative funding sources out here. Everyone thinks banks, loans, grants, but there's so many other ways of funding your business, so many other types of funding sources within the city and outside of the city. We live in a global economy, people. There's an opportunity for someone to help business owners get connected to these alternative sources of funding, because we continue to see the same results as it relates to access to capital in the more traditional components of it. And then for your earlier businesses, oftentimes bank funding is not necessarily the right fit for them at that time, right? This is what I encourage people to start building the relationship with various bankers, so that when they are, generating cash flow and have collateral and all that, then they have an option of just who to go to secure capital. But there's CDFIs, but even there's not that many CDFIs even, and there are some loan programs, but there's lots of people pursuing business, and there's a big funding need.
Yeah.
So we just need to be more creative in terms of problem solving around how to make this happen. And I have lots of ideas of how to do that.
I love that. And because, you know, that's what Futureland is all about. You highlighted some challenges, and we are a platform that is looking to solve those challenges and bring in people like yourself on that can talk about this with experience and seeing how to get to the other side of those solutions. So as we have a big and bright vision for Cleveland, what is your vision for a better Cleveland?
I would love to see the next generation of Clevelanders and there are people relocating to Cleveland, take the lead on setting the tone, influencing policy, developing these creative solutions, pulling in community, and not just the professional, quote unquote, professional community, but the people that when we hear like some of the abysmal numbers about kind of Cleveland poverty rate, a lot of the challenges. So pulling in all members of all socioeconomic classes, younger, like middle schools, children, teenagers, pulling them into this space, helping them to become leaders. So kind of reaching back and building a succession plan of future leaders, stepping up to the plate when you see that, I mean, much in the way that Futureland has happened, when you see gaps, stepping in to say, not look for other people to solve the gaps. That may not have our interest in mind.
Right.
But us, like, we have the creative, we have everything we need to solve it. But I would also like for those, because Sankofa is another one of my cultural values, and that means understanding the past and understanding history, which we see that that's trying to be actively erased for a reason, right? Understanding history, so doing your homework, right? Because sometimes people will be like, why isn't anyone doing this? Or we're going to start this new thing. It's like, well, hello, someone has tried to do that 3 times in the past. Let's learn from the past and look at how can we learn from those and move those forward. But, you know, grounding yourself in policy, grounding yourself in history. I'm deeply inspired by our ancestors from the 19th and 20th century that didn't have any capital, didn't have hardly anything, but they had community, they had heart, they had hustle, they had gumption, and they were able to make some things happen for themselves and for their community. So I would like to see the next generation informed and educated, and maybe guided by, you know, some of those that have been around, take the lead and make some things happen for our city so that everyone can be successful as an entrepreneur and have the right tools and resources at the right time, and feel good about approaching those resources and feel good about the experiences they had with these resources, because I truly believe that entrepreneurship can be a path to economic success, but it needs to be done right and with the right people.
Beautifully said.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So,
What an
Mama
interview.
Glow, thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing just a small bit, right? A mustard seed of the information and the experience that you have. I'm confident that you actually enlightened
Yes.
1 or 2, 3 or 400
1,000.
of the audience here today. I know for sure that I'm inspired and I received some knowledge and information today.
Great.
And I'll definitely be connecting with you because I'm at that point where I'm like, I need to take it to another level, right? I need to go deeper. I need to have someone do the research for me because I don't really know what is out there.
You got to come to June 25th, 5:30 to 7 p.m.
There we go.
So there we
CNC Fairfax
go, yeah.
Connection. Come to. It's going to be interactive. It's going to be hands-on.
Yeah.
We're going to have a good time.
love it.
And yeah, come and just make sure that you have all the right resources and information that you need to profit and have a winning business.
Do you have
keep
to fill
going.
anything out?
Yeah.
Or
There's
you
a
just show up?
registration. There is a
Okay.
registration
Awesome.
form. So you go to you can follow me on my Instagram. It's at Get the Bag Boss.
Get the bag, boss.
That's my other name. I have people say, "Are you Get the Bag Boss?"
Yes, that is me.
But also PNCFairfaxConnection.com. I think is the site. But yeah, you'll be seeing me talk about it. And follow me on LinkedIn, Gloria Ware, and then my company page is GTB Advisors, and then also Get the Bag.
Awesome.
All right.
And as you know, make sure you follow Futureland CLE on all platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get more amazing interviews like this one today. And this was fire.
This was fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was money. We are definitely going to get to the bag. Myself, just Joseph, and all of you as well. We have so many key takeaways. I think the one that she just, Ms. Mama Glow just stated was Sankofa, right? Knowing the past and it will help you know the future, right? So knowing that and taking that all in, you will have a successful business. I know I'll usually have a whole list, but I'm going to just keep it there.
Yeah. My biggest takeaway was the relationship portion, how important that is to building your business, but also investing in yourself because your business is going to build you before you build it. So that was my takeaway.
Amen.
Well,
Thank you.
Dang,
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure,
So nice to
absolutely
get to
on our
know you.
half. Yes.
Awesome.
So we're gonna stay connected. So you all, that's it. That's all. It's Nikki B here.
Just Joseph.
See you guys next time. Peace.
Moving on, yeah. Moving on, Futureland, what's up, yeah.